Hi, so I am going to give you a virtual tour of this most recent um, junk art journal, and we'll talk a little bit about what that is or what I did with this. And I will also do a few clip-ins today and show you a little bit about the writing board that I send with all of my creations. So I'm going to set this aside. And we're going to start talking first about this beauty right here. And I don't know if the screen is fully getting it. This was made out of, and by the way, this is a gifted piece, so this is not for sale. This is just for inspiration. So I have watched a lot of videos where they talk with their hands on screen forever, and some people watch these on silent. So I'm going to go ahead and start talking about this even as I am getting ready. So first, I just want to tell you that this has got a hidden spine. And some people like to know the measurements. I didn't measure anything, but I took an old placemat and I sewed it and secured it over packaging from Amazon. And it's crunchy. You can hear it. It's wonderful crunchiness, right? So let's go ahead and jump in. So this is basically a piece of sari silk. Now this is not a process video. This is just a reveal and a chat about how I did this. And I'm just hoping that you get to see this on here. So my friend Elyssa. So I named this one Elyssa based on the person I'm gifting it to. So first it was that sari silk. I also have a little raven here. You'll notice that the raven shows up throughout the journal. There's also a beautiful little keychain here that can come off, and I'm using an antique vintage looking safety clip or safety pin as part of the closure. So you'll just notice that this sari silk just opens and sets aside. Okay, so this is vintage lace that I have used. I got some from someone who was selling it online on Facebook Marketplace. I think I saw it, and it really kind of helped me hide the spine because I wasn't thrilled with how my spine showed out. But okay, so when you first open it, you're going to see a little pocket from a pair of jeans. I just loved that. And this does open here at the button, but just to make it easier, I did cut it here as well, so you're not disturbing these feathers. Now, the person, Elyssa, this went to, feathers were an important piece, and so they had to show up right away. I had this fabric from a shirt that I saw at the Goodwill store that had "I love myself" all over the shirt. And so I had to take that out and put that on this little pocket. Now I just have this here to show what you do, but basically I took an oracle card that said transformation, and I put it on some book page and made it into a journal card, and the book that it came from is The Red Badge of Courage, and I thought that was kind of cool. So this goes inside this little envelope, and it has a document closure on it. Now, when you get these, sometimes they're not that great, so I have to make them again. But in this case, I just wanted to show y'all, and I put a little bit of a heart there because, you know, I want her to love herself. So I'm just going to flip through this. This is, I don't go through all the process. I'm just going to show you. So this removes. This can flip either way. I love working with numerology, new beginnings, and again, I have this clipped too, and I love the new beginnings. I made this little pocket tuck spot out of old fabric scraps and glued them all together and did some sewing. And anyway, it says new beginnings on here, and I thought, you know, one thing about junk journaling is that it's a place for us to document where we've been and where we want to go. So all of these pages are important. This page here, and you'll see some more throughout it, are pages that I created, but it started out being bubble painting with the family. I love to do art with my kids and then take that art and do something with it if the kids don't want it. Some, you know, coffee dyed paper, some more. I love to do textured pieces like this where the person receiving can tear them up, move them around, unclip them. So I don't like anything to be too permanent. You'll notice throughout that I played with the concept of time. And in this case, I was really drawn to these women in an old Sears catalog, and I used it with some washi tape. Here's another clip-in card. It says intuition. And I made these little feathers with some Distress inks and then went over it with some Mod Podge Magic elements. And of course, I also I watercolored this and embossed. I like to see things layer from page to page. This happens to have three. I should have showed y'all that. This happens to have 3 signatures. It's very, very thick. And this is considered a fully dressed journal. So right off the bat, I'm going to go ahead and clip in. I wanted to add in a couple of these things. So this is the spring equinox. I saved this from an old calendar from last year, and it talked about some ritual supplies and how to bring in. So this particular journal is for someone who's very much into spiritualism. So that was kind of fun to incorporate some of that. It says, I believe in the power of positive bitching. And there's a place here, and I put a little note on the back that says, okay, what bitches need a timeout? And it's the concept of being able to put a friend in timeout and set some boundaries, because you know bitches be bitching sometimes. So we've got watch for signs here, more of this homemade paper. I did some stamping on it. We've got a couple things. This is just a tuck spot, couple cards. And again, I didn't really pick where the cards went. They kind of came and did their own thing. I did use, I believe, 4 different decks of cards in this journal. Now this piece right here, if you noticed, it's this right here is letters. It's some scrapbooking paper, but I noticed it said love when you looked at it from here. And I just thought that was so cool that it showed love right next to them, to the butterflies. Okay, so we've got this. Now I went ahead and secured this down, and I embossed a little bit here. These are all cards I just kind of stuck in, oracle cards. And the idea behind all these oracle cards is that you can write down what came to you and how you use them. Now, sometimes people get an art junk journal like this themed, and they have their ideas of what they want. And so then they take all the ephemera out, and then they just incorporate it as they want to. And I always recommend that too. So this is some lined paper in order to do some journaling. I used pieces of an Italian cookbook throughout, partly because this girl that is getting this, Elyssa, she is one that's a very creative person. She's a tattoo artist. She loves to cook. She loves to paint. And so I wanted to really kind of get some of that French class in there, because she's got dreams of traveling, I'm sure. Who doesn't want to go to France? Okay, or at least eat French. So here, this one says shadow work, and I went ahead and glued this one down as a tuck spot. And just as a reminder, as prompts, I just made this grief. If you notice, it says grief. This one says trauma and loss. I'm sorry for the lighting. I'm still figuring out kind of how to do some of these videos. You notice it says lesson 27. This is from an old clerical trainer book. I like to take old book pages out. We've got some more distressed inking and water and let's see, and washi tape. Okay, so one of the things about this book is Alyssa's grandfather, who has passed away. He was a brick mason, and so I wanted to bring in all these elements of brick, also to speak about the ancestral place of foundation. So we've got some pieces I cut out of a scarf from the Dollar Tree, and I decoupaged that on here after I made this brick, put some numbers on it, just because, you know, house numbers, and did some splatters. And then I found an insert of a book, had these really pretty brick inserts in the page. It looked like brick townhouses. So I went ahead and put them down. But underneath, and this is where it gets really special, I actually found, I had my husband and some family members of this wonderful friend go and pick out pictures of her grandfather. And so she doesn't know this is coming, but I went ahead and took transparency paper and glued those over to protect her pictures. But anytime she needs to come in and check in with her grandfather, this is the place to do that. And she can write and journal all through this, not to mention she can journal on the backs of the cards. Just more, some of the same that you've seen, some stamping here. because it's intended for them to rip and pull or write. This is just kind of folded in. I just liked some of the fun sewing. I love texture. Look at this. See the I picking out and the letter I. See, I just love that. And it's all about the solar plexus. So knowing how you see yourself, right? So here, if you notice the colors I'm pulling through here, and I'm sorry again for the lighting, if you can see this is kind of watercolory and kind of mystical, kind of dark with some stamping on here, and it mentions throat chakra. So this is a fun one. I did put cleanse and protect here, but I also was really pulled into these skulls, and I tried to beautify those a little bit, if you notice some mica. But this opens out like a flip out, and there's this little card, and I made this out of book page, and I stamped on here the raven from Edgar Allan Poe series. It says watching and waiting. That can be pulled out and used, or it could just be a journal spot. Over here, just some more working with inks and papers. Coffee dye paper. I love this paper so much that I just really didn't want to mess it up. This was one of the family made papers that I then added some inks and paint to. And if you just, I don't know if you can see that, but it just looks like water in the storm. And I found this card and it said face your fears. And I thought, you know, that sounds like a good one for this stormy page. Just got some more layering here. I love this music paper. It looks like faux stitching with the stamps. So here I did some actual stitching. I sewed a button on and made this a little bit more country looking, because even in urban interest, even in multimedia, you can't eliminate country, right? So we're going to do that. Now I'm going to stick in, let me see how many signatures, 3. I'm going to go ahead and stick this one into here, I think. Yeah, I think I'm going to do that because this looks really kind of close here in color story. So I'm going to put the summer solstice in that spot. This is a place that can swing out to right. Have an added little spot. I love to add pages that are not perfectly squared in. It just adds visual interest. So yeah. More from that cookbook. More washi tape, clerical training. These are just fun, you know, they feel good. The paper feels good. But if you were really into collage, which I know this particular friend, Elyssa, is very artsy. And so her tearing this up and doing something with collage would be something I would hope for. Even if this was just fodder and she was doing it in a different book. Love my coffee dyed papers. Now, I did include some pages from a book that had nothing to do with anything. They're just cool, and I just sewed some silly sewing around that. This one in particular, I think, is just a beautiful art piece. I don't know where. Italy, maybe. I'm not sure. It has a nun on it, some children. Looks like some poor folks that were looking for help in the picture. I love my coffee stained papers. Okay, so here's where it gets fun for me. So I took a calendar of space stuff and turned it into, I took an envelope that I had and left it open like this. So there's going to be another side to this throughout. So I took a piece of vellum paper that I had painted on that looked like slices of a tree, and it kind of disappears here, but I turned it into a little planet. So this just says 2025. It's a bookmark. She can also journal on it. I just clipped it in here. She can move it. But the idea here is that maybe she can collect if she's doing readings or something. Maybe she jots down notes about her readings. But this was just to give her an idea of how to use these pockets. Some more here. This is so cute. Look at this card. I love this. This particular deck is so cute. And it's a self-love deck. Talks about change. I love those eyes. Now this is just paper on top of paper. So like little bits on top of little bits. This is a bag that got sewed in that I did a bunch of stuff with inks on. So this is like this. She can write underneath it. This is another tuck spot that she can do something with. Children from that catalog. More children. If you have some inner child work you're needing to work on, sometimes that's fun to have. So here's the middle of the second signature. And again, I have another card that is affixed permanently to this belly band that was made from the scraps of this placemat. We've got another flippy out. And this is kind of fun. I did a little wax seal here with a phoenix on it. I don't know if I'm going to lift it up a little bit so maybe you can see there. Isn't that cute? So what I had was this really cool skull paper, and I covered a piece of this on an envelope, and it says it wasn't a coincidence. There's the phoenix, as in it grew you, right? So you open it up. It's another flippy out like I did before. This time the card is a little bit more intense. I'm going to just show you here. So I have the eye right here sticking out. So if you open it, it says remember the tail, and you open it up and it looks like something that was obviously not easy to get through. You kind of see the energy of the owl and this skeleton. You open it up and it's a place to tell the tale. Now this can slide down in. Again, it can be used as a card, or as I would expect, it could also be an incredible journal spot. So here we have the gift of freedom, and it mentions root chakra. I happen to know Elyssa is very much into energy and spiritualism, and so I shared with her, because once we know what the tail is, that wasn't a coincidence. We can have the gift of freedom through our root chakra. So I opened this out so she can write more here. So there's lots of writing, and if you notice how the coffee dyed this paper, it looks, I don't know if you can see that in the camera, but it looks like routes and pathways, and I just thought that met the astral travel and the concept of freedom. More inking. Another tuck spot made with that same paper that I used to make that planet that I was referring to. It looks like a fingerprint sometimes. A couple cards to look at. This one says strength and abundance, so again, she could just maybe journal over here what those mean to her. So again, I started to leave as we come into the final, this is what I do for all of my dressed journals. As we get towards the end of it, you're going to see less and less of my work. There's a lot here because I want that to be inspiration and for her to finish this out. So I have gone ahead and left some blank spaces. I loved how bright this was, so I just put a black sheet as a tip in that can be written in, and this says dreams have no expiration date. So maybe she'll, I love these little clips, little star and moon clips. All of the journals that I give away come with a white, gold, and silver high quality gel pen, so that you can use those anywhere in your journal. Another one of those pockets is the other half of that. Remember, I told y'all I made little planets out of that. Let me see, out of that paper. See? Make sure I get this in the shot. I love Frida, so it was easy to put one of those in, but it talks about soul lesson being about trust and wanting Elyssa to trust herself. And I love the sewing around here. It's just fun. Now, this page was fun for me. This is, again, one of the cookbook pages from the French cookbook. And I saw this card, and it said Moonlight Enchanted. And I had this really cool collage paper that looks like this. It's very, very gold. Like, it has a lot of metallic and shine. So I put this enchanted down, and I decided to do it as a tip-in with this gorgeous feather. And it said, enchant yourself. And the idea is for her to do something and then write about it. What did she do to create enchantment in her own life versus waiting for others to do it for her? We've got some more. I just played on some of that French play there. This is another one of those cards that flips out with this fun little card here. Again, more place to art or write. I love this little raven right here. And if you notice, I put a little crown on him. He kind of shines. Another one of those pieces. Now this one talks about it's a postcard that talks about psalmistry, which is palm reading, and so I included one of those. And this all comes off this, so she can move this around. Again, this is some of that paper that our family painted together, and then I worked into the journal. I love this one right here. It says breathe in. I love this. It says see the good all around you, even if you have to squint. On the back, it says, there's no problem that friends cannot confront, combat, plot against, ignore, make fun of, drown in chocolate sauce, or run over with the car. So again, we have some more of this homemade paper that we did with some stamping. I drew, I actually had a stamp that I was reworking. It's supposed to be a snow globe. I turned it into a magic ball. So the concept was for her to dream and write about it. And there's some travel paper here on this bag. So maybe she's going to put in some receipts from some travels that she took. I don't know. More of that coffee dyed paper, more of that Sears paper with those women. So then here we get to the part where I had a pocket, and I did not dress this for her. Instead, I just left some of these papers here. This is from a calendar page similar to the other one. Do what you love. It's what you're meant to do. And I just decided stick that here, and she will do what she wants to do with that pocket. Another one of those kind of artsy-fartsy book pages, along with, I love the grunge of this page. It's so cool. See, there it is again. Ah, just love it. One of my favorite things in the world is to make papers more, just grunge them up and see what you can do with them. You're noticing I have less embellishments here. It's because I want her to start thinking about how she can use the pages differently. More of the fun things to just kind of bring some inspiration. More of the homemade papers. This paper in particular. Oh, it just feels good to touch. It doesn't come off on your hands. It's a winter wonderland. It's something. It's something. So one of my little clips, I love these little clips. I collect paper clips of all different kinds, and I look for them at every single thrift shop I go into. I check all of the office supplies. I run through Amazon from occasion, because lightweight paper clips is life. Big, thick, chunky ones take up too much space, but these really thin ones are really cool. Okay, so in this particular page, I did go ahead and do something. I showed her that you can even glue pages together. So that's what I did here. And here's the rest of that fingerprint paper that I was talking about that I turned into planets earlier. But this says honoring the ancestors. And it said, the card says, ring around the moon protection. I put a little tie on that. And then I was led to share this. It says, make a thank you ritual and invite direct connection from ancestors living in past. I stuck it down under here with this saying, honoring the ancestors. This happens to be a picture of her mom, her beautiful mother. And this is Elyssa. I know I'm not supposed to be showing people on TV or on the internet, but, and so again, I glued pages here too to show her they can become, you can create a pocket just by putting two pages together if she wanted to. So I've got some cards in there. And the concept on this spread was really to focus on her relationship with her ancestry, both living and past. So these say process your feelings, knowledge, and releasing blocks. We all have them. It doesn't matter if your family look like the Brady Bunch or, you know, married with children. We all have them. So here's another page where not a whole lot's done, but it says take a risk. It's the other half of that pocket with the space paper. The last bit of that paper. Now this one, I actually glued this page to the coffee dyed paper, and I added a bit of starry trim to this. And this one's actually fun. I actually really enjoyed this page. And I'm going to show you. It says, the moon's wisdom, take the lead. Exalted moon, self-regulation. Out of bounds moon, boundaries. Moon madness, avoid drama. And then it reveals this yes you can message with another one of the feathers. And this is one of those miniature cupcake foils that you can flatten out. And I found some in gold and had so much fun playing with those. So that's what that page is. I went ahead and I'm holding this up a little closer because we're getting towards the end here in this journal, and I don't know if you can see everything. So this is the other half of that bag. I just put a couple tickets in. I thought this one was cute because I have it stamped. I did a bunch of stamping and then just turned them into tags. And this one actually says coffins, caskets, and burials. And, you know, I thought maybe she's got to write something down that needs to be buried. I don't know. There's a black rose there. So, again, I stuck that in with a little bit of paper that spoke to me of Starry, Starry Night. And, again, this is just the back end of that bag that was sewn in earlier. So I've got that there as a tuck spot, but you might recognize this from earlier in the book. Again, the very last bit, and it says Year of the Witch, which reminds me I've got a few things to stick in. And then I had a card here. I gave her this clip, and on the back, there's a place to release baggage. This one actually says danger, avoid, keep out. And each one of these that are in here have to do with baggage. They're all stamped with poison bottles. And it says layaway, it's the shipping tag, and a guest check. And they're all coffee dyed, so she can journal on those. But the concept here is to, look at your baggage. What are you carrying with you into this new year? And then you've got 3 more cards here that I've put in, plus the last of the homemade paper, which the last paper actually had the number 88 swirled into it, so I added that in a stamp. And then this is empty because she might want to do something else here. So I left this blank on purpose. But if you notice, it's quite full. Now I want to go back in and find a spot since I said I was going to do it. There's that one. So let's see what we can do here and put in the autumn. You know what? I'm going to slide that in right here. In one of those pockets. It'll go with the gold. And then I've got a winter solstice to put in. And this one is actually not done anything to. She can actually play with that. So let's go find a spot back here. I might do the same thing. There you go. I'll just put it in this one. And then I've got these 2 bookmarks I thought I might add in here. So let's go ahead and do that. Let's go ahead and slide this one here. We've got a lot going on back here. So let's go in to the middle. Let me see. You know what? I'll just stick it in here with Frida. So, you might ask, what's a writing board? A writing board is something I create and put with everything. And I'll tell you why. You saw me when I was going through the book. If somebody was trying to write on, let's say, this page, they would have all of this stuff and all of this stuff behind it. And you might think, well, that's not the smoothest. So by creating a board, what I do is I take a piece of chipboard or some kind of something, and I make it pretty front and back, and then it is completely covered in or laminated. Now this one I had some issues, so I had to hand press it, but it's a beautiful Ram Dass message that says, live in the moment, know that moments are not in time, they are not in the world of the clock, the changing seasons, the process of growing old. Moments are in soul time. Ram Dass with this beautiful. So what you would do is you would put it underneath, so that when you're writing, it's a firm, flat surface. And so this doesn't fit inside because it's not quite small enough for that. But that was actually on purpose because I happen to know she's an artist. And let's say, for example, that she really wanted to go to town and paint this. I wanted her to also be able to not worry about the pages that were over here. So this way she can turn it around and do this, or do it like this, or slide it in from here. So everyone gets a writing board. So yeah, so there you are. You are seeing this, and you notice it's already really full. Look at that, so full. But it has been my joy, my pleasure to make this work, this piece of art. Now, people ask all the time, are you an artist? And I don't really sometimes know how to answer that question. What makes you an artist versus a crafter? What's the difference? I have had some formal training, but to be honest, I've always had an interest in graphic design and studied for a couple of years before changing my major. But I have always worked with paper crafting my whole life. And so I do consider myself a multimedia enthusiast and poet, I guess is the best way. So I'm hoping that My friend Alyssa is going to love this, and I'm basically just recording this for posterity. But yeah, so I hope you were inspired by some of what you saw. Just to give you an idea of what I used, I did use packaging, envelopes, junk mail. I used regular paper, some digital printing, but not much at all. When I use digital prints, I only use them to pop what I'm already working on, but I do have a rule for myself that 90% of the book I make has to be made out of remnants, pieces of scrap, junk, what other people would typically throw away. So, for example, this was an earring, and I have taken all my paparazzi jewelry and I've turned them into things for journals now. So, all right. Well, thank y'all so much for watching. And if you have any questions, drop them in the comments. Otherwise, I will see y'all the next time. And be watching, because I'm probably going to start coming on with some process and some chat time. So we will see you on the other side. Thank you so much. Have a great day.